I warmly welcome all of you to this wonderful event we have this afternoon. And in particular, I'd like to welcome Minister Jaitley. I understand that this is the first time we have a finance minister visiting Australia for bilateral talks. So let's applaud Mr. Jaitley for coming to Australia. Many of you who are visiting us for the first time ask the question, what is SB Jain doing in Sydney? And I'd like to just share a few words that SB Jain exists in Mumbai, of course, Dubai, Singapore, and Sydney. So we have 4 campuses, and we're looking to set up even the 5th one in the near future. We believe that the world is truly global, and the global world needs a global business school that produces graduates that have a global mindset. And so when they come here to Australia, they actually understand how business is done in another country, and in this case, white democracy. When they go to Singapore, they understand how business is done in a Chinese country, and of course in Dubai, in the Arab world. And they also need to understand what's really going on in different parts of the world, what's going on, for example, in the Middle East. We read about it in the newspapers every single day. But how many of us truly understand that? And that, I think, is what differentiates our school from many other schools. Once again, welcome the Finance Minister for coming to SB Jain. I think it is the first stop on his historic Australian tour. We are very pleased that he has chosen to come to our school and honored us, and thank him very profusely for that.
I think the Finance Minister's visit to the SB Jain School is very timely and very important for a number of reasons. The first is that education and skills over the last few years has really become a very important part of the bilateral agenda between India and Australia. This is taking place at different levels, in vocational training, in university education, and in scientific research. By establishing this campus in Sydney, the SB Jain group have added an entirely new dimension to this collaboration in the field of education. In the global environment that Mr. Jain referred to, they are demonstrating the capacity of India's own educational institutions to spread their wings, to emerge as institutions of excellence in their own right. A big congratulations for us, because you become our ambassadors here as well. And now for me to have the pleasure to introduce the Honorable Minister. To anyone from India, to anyone who has anything to do with India, I don't think that Minister Jaitley needs any introduction. He is the Union Minister of Finance, Corporate Affairs, and Information and Broadcasting. He's the leader of the House in the Rajya Sabha, the upper house of the Indian Parliament. He's a very prominent lawyer, one of the senior-most leaders of the Bharatiya Janata Party. He was a minister in the previous NDA government from 1999 to 2002. He's also been a Union Minister for Defense in the Government of India. During his student life, he was president of the Delhi University Students' Union, and he's the recipient of numerous distinctions for outstanding performance, both in academics and in extracurricular activities. He was selected for the Outstanding Parliamentarian Award for the year 2010. He's an avid writer on contemporary legal political issues and has written extensively in newspapers and periodicals. Honorable Minister, we're delighted to have you in Sydney.
Thank you very much, Nitish, to you and to the institution for having invited me. On the very first morning that, along with some colleagues, that I am in Sydney, you asked me to speak on reimagining Indian economy. Well, we've set our targets reasonably high, and T20 is probably not the only area where we want to do well. And one of the key concerns has been that repeatedly across the world, global growth estimations have been lowered. And sitting through various meetings of the IMF, the World Bank, and other forums, I get a distinct impression that how long this phase is going to last, nobody really is sure of. And therefore, world economies are undergoing a very significant change. And nobody really can say, certainly we in India can't say that we are uninfluenced by this. That when trade shrinks, across the world trade will shrink. And the shrinkage of that trade also has impacted us. Uncertainties in the market also impact us in terms of both stock markets and currency unpredictability. Australia itself has witnessed the parity as far as currency being significantly altered in the last 2 years. And then, of course, global demand has been adversely impacted. The result of all this has been that the lower regime for prices in terms of oil, commodities, metals, has had its adverse impacts on several economies in the world. Now, this is one area where, in India at least, we don't share that pain. The low price regime has helped India because we are net buyers of these. And therefore, this also provides to us an opportunity. How do we insulate ourselves as far as these global shocks are concerned? I think this is one of the most important challenges if we have to reimagine the Indian economy itself. I am not unmindful of the fact that several factors of the past had impacted on India's image. There was some kind of a policy slowdown which the world was sarcastically referring to as policy paralysis. There was also some decisions which created unfavorable impact about India. Decisions relating to taxation. And therefore, having learned from these experiences, what is it that is being done and requires to be done in order to reposition India? I think one of the obvious decisions we had to take was that we had to open the Indian economy a lot more. What is it that is sustaining the Indian economy today? Private sector investment is a little slow, private sector is a little stressed, and therefore we had to concentrate on increased public investment, which is something which we've done. We had also to rely a lot upon what Nitish just referred to, on foreign direct investment, which has significantly increased in the last 2 years. And we had to work towards increasing demand as far as the Indian markets are concerned. We've also removed the unnecessary conditionalities which were slowing down the foreign direct investment. And this, probably in greenfield projects, has made India one of the more sought-after destinations as far as foreign direct investment is concerned. I think there is a greater realization in India that in a competitive world today, not only attracting international investors to come to India, but also persuading domestic investors to stay in India, you will have to ease in your business processes. And that's an important work which is still in progress as far as India is concerned. I think eliminating corruption in decision-making in relation to projects Because corruption not only spoils your image, it dissuades people from investment, it adds to costs of investment. I think is an important milestone where India seems to be moving forward.